Alright, what's good YouTube? Gentlemen Thomas here, back with another video on the channel, and I'm happy to announce that I'm back with a brand new league. We're going to be joining the NPBA Draft League, which is a showdown league. But before I go into more detail about our draft analysis / breakdown, which this video is going to be, I want to quickly mention a little bit about where I've been the last couple of weeks. So, basically all my leagues kind of ended the same time, so I didn't really have anything new planned. I don't know, it kind of just happened, so I ended up taking a small 2-week break. I kind of enjoyed it. It was okay. I didn't really do a whole lot. I just got to take some time off my computer, and then I signed up for the NPBA, which has now started, and I've also signed up for WPF Season 10, which will start in a couple of weeks. If we get in, I'm very hopeful we get in. I hope it will be my 10th season in a row, which would be pretty cool. But I can also understand if I don't get it. But yeah, the NPBA is a league created by a guy named Jode. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce the name. He's a very cool guy, very, very nice, pretty down to earth, I feel like. And I feel like he's already created a very good community. I like it a lot. There's a couple of people I already know from beforehand, but there's also other people that I haven't talked a whole lot to, but just in general, when I see people like kind of bouncing around in the Discord and whatnot and talking, they seem like very nice people. They seem like they kind of understand to make jokes but not go overboard, which is like the perfect way you want to have it, right? The NPBA as a draft league is going to be divided in 4 different divisions for the regular draft, Natdex, whatever you want to call it, and 1 low tier. And they're called the Cancer Division, Yoda Division, Horn Division, Sinnoh Division, and then the Or Division for the low tier. And Or is based in Coliseum, I believe it is. One of the side games, so I think that's pretty cool. We are placed in the Cancer Division, which is the highest tier division, so I'm very nervous about that because I am used to being in the second highest tier in WPF and also in other places, but sometimes I will come in the higher division depending on what the amount of players are and stuff like that. The draft allowed 115 points, and we had to draft 11 mons. There were no like in 9 to 11 mons or anything in between. It was 11 exactly. I kind of like it because it does make it so you have to actually think a little bit about what you're doing throughout the draft. It also makes it so you don't have quite the creativity and the fluency that you want, but it's fine in my opinion. We were the 12th pick overall out of 16 coaches, so we had a little bit towards a bottom pick, but not bottom enough that you would call it a wheel pick. So not a great position to be in, but overall I was fine with it because I've had like 4 drafts in a row where I had first pick, and I'll tell you, first pick is fun for like 1 or 2 times, but after that it actually becomes kind of annoying because it's like you want to draft the like really good broken stuff, but you don't want to play with it all the goddamn time. At least that's how I feel. I don't want to play with the broken stuff over and over. Well, okay, that sounds really weird, but I don't want to like have the urge to want to draft the same stuff over and over and try new stuff. And if I'm first pick, it does make it a little bit difficult to kind of, you know, not pick a Shifu or Dracula, although I don't personally really like Dracula that much as a mon. But yeah, well, as a draft mon, but that's a different thing. It's going to be Natdex Legacy, which means hidden moves are allowed, but no hidden power and no pursuit. Hidden power, I love that there's no hidden power. That's perfect for me. But pursuit, I feel like you could keep. I don't know. I feel like it adds a little bit of a tactical element, but it is what it is. I'm not like mad about it. I live with it fairly well. But yeah. So our 12th pick is, as I mentioned, not the greatest, but this draft was kind of weird. So first pick overall was Zygarde 50%. Yeah, I kid you not. I value Zygarde 50%. I really like Zygarde 50%, but I don't think it's a first pick overall. But that's very interesting because that means people pick with what they want rather than what they feel like would be what they should take. And then I think second pick was Shifu. That's pretty normal. But Dragapult fell all the way down to 5th pick. By the way, Kyurem Black was allowed in this league, but it had no Scale Shot and no Dragon Dance. It was the 6th pick still. There were some interesting picks in round 1 and 2. So even as 12th pick, we got a pretty good pick. We had a couple of good mons we can kind of choose between, and the mon I ended up going with was Tenacious Therian. So I had the choice between Tenacious Therian and Mew and Mega Gallade. I've recently just used Mega Gallade in the league that I didn't upload, but I actually won the championship with it, so I didn't want to use it. So it was kind of between Mew and Tornadus Therian. And both Mon would pair up very well with the Mon I originally wanted, because I originally wanted Mega Lopunny as my first pick, because I thought as 12th pick that's not too bad of a pick. I feel like all the 18 points should be taken, so taking a good 17 pointer wouldn't be that bad. All of a sudden, I'm left here with Tornadus Therian, and I'm like, you know what, it pairs very well with Mega Lopunny, which is actually the next pick we got. So we did get Mega Lopunny on the way back. I'm very happy about this. This brings a good offensive core with Tornadus and Mega Lopunny already. We can pivot around, we can kind of hit different things. I do struggle a little bit with like fairy types already, because Tornadus doesn't break a whole lot of fairy types, because 110 special attack isn't the greatest. It's okay, but it's not fantastic. Mega Lopunny, of course, can't use fighting moves, but we are allowed return, which is the main reason why I wanted Mega Lopunny, because Mega Lopunny with return and still having access to like U-turn, triple action, stuff like that is very, very good in my opinion. We didn't have to wait a lot of picks, and honestly, the reason why I didn't choose Mew over Tornadus was because of this next pick that I hope would come back to me, and that was Victini. I feel like Victini is a Mon that I have used it once before, but it was in a league that died, so I only used it for like 4 games. I haven't used it since, and I've actually never really felt that I wanted to use it that much until now. I was like, you know what, it pairs up fairly well with Mega Lopunny, and now we also got Tornadus Therian. This is a very good triple threat core we started off with offensively. All have access to U-turns, so we can pivot around. A little bit of like stealth rock weakness with both Victini and Tornadus. Tornadus will probably run heavy duty boots most of the time, but Victini do like to run either Church Band, Church Scarf, whatever. So we definitely have to watch out for that and try and see if we can fix that. But Tornadus can also can of course run Defog, so that does help a little bit. I then didn't have to wait that long, but I actually didn't know what exactly I wanted to pick here, because we now have 3 really good offensive mons. I was like, okay, we need some bulk, we need some mons that can take a hit, we need something that can like withstand the opponent's pressure put on us. So I was like, okay, I want to bulky water types, because bulky water types are always very nice to have in draft. And I was like, I don't really want Milotic. I just used it. I'm not a fan of Toxapex. Like I understand what Toxapex can do. I just don't like that it's as passive as it is. So I was like, okay, what's good for the point value? And we ended up scooping up Vaporeon. So Vaporeon is a very, very standard bulky water type. High HP, alright defense. I think it's like 60, 65 or something like that. Really good special defense. Okay special attack, I think it's 110 actually. And then pretty slow. Got access to flip turn this generation, which does very much help Vaporeon in my opinion, because being able to flip turn out of there and not deal with whatever's in front of you, or getting like a slow pivot momentum, is so nice. We now have wish support for our mons. It doesn't really matter too much with the mons we already had, but it will matter with some of the mons we pick later on. And overall, Vaporeon is like very just generically good. It's not amazing. It's probably not gonna win 5 matches by killing a lot of mons, but it's gonna be good. It's gonna be solid. It's not gonna die. And that's what we want it for. Next up, I wanted something that can pair defensively with Vaporeon very good. So Vaporeon is weak to both grass and electric, and there is one mon in the format, I think, there's a couple, but there's a mon in the format that is very good, resists both of those typings, has more pivot. I love my pivoting, as you can see already, and actually gives us access to Sticky Web, and that is Vikavolt. So Vikavolt is probably one of, if not my favorite electric type, I think, just in general. I love this monster to death. Access to Sticky Whip, access to Roost, so we don't have to rely on Vaporeon's Wish. Very powerful Thunderbolts, Volt Switches coming out from this. Gets access to Bug Buzz, of course, because it's a bug type. But also has access to Energy Ball / Giga Drain. I think it gets both. I know it gets Energy Ball at least. And that is very, very important, because that means it does not get walled by any water ground types. Typically, an electric type that just want to spam electric moves gets walled by water ground, or ground in general, but water ground, because you cannot break your opponent's water type, but at the same time, and your electric type becomes kind of like useless in that sense. But because we now have access to a grass move on our electric type, it doesn't matter. We can just bop them with an energy ball instead. Very happy about Vikavolt. I feel like Vikavolt is gonna come a lot. I love it. It's a fighting resist for Mega Lopunny. Unfortunately, we have now accumulated a little bit of a rock weakness with Tornadus, Victini, Vigavolt. We needed a rock resist. I know Stealth Rock is not something we can like resist with in that way, but we needed something in case people bring an offensive rock type against us. So I ended up picking up Bronzong. Bronzong is a very good steel type. I have drafted it like a couple times before, but I have actually no, I drafted it once before I think in WPF, but I ended up dropping it because it did not fit the team at all. I had Tapu Bulu and stuff like that, so it did not make sense at all. It's still not the best here. I would have preferred maybe a different steel type. Like I was thinking about maybe going Registeel, but I feel like the points between Registeel and Bronzong wasn't worth it. Bronzong was 8, I think. Registeel was 10, and I feel like the 2 extra points you got with Bronzong is kind of good. Like you can use them elsewhere, and they do a little bit of similar things. Not exactly the same. Like Registeel is just generically a little bit better, but Bronzong can do a couple of other stuff that Registeel can't. It's a second cycle type, and typically I don't like stacking typings too much, but I feel like it works here because one is offensive, one is defensive. Yeah, it gives a little bit of a dark and ghost weakness, but we have Mega Lopunny, which absolutely kills any dark type, and we will have something for dark, more for dark types and for ghost types as well later on. Next up, we ended up picking up Lycanroc Dusk. So I wanted now that we've built a little bit of a defensive core with Report and Vigavolt Bronzong, I wanted that last mon that I can kind of come in and clean up. Tornadus, Lopunny, Victini, they're going to pivot around, will the opponent down. Victini is probably going to nuke something with like a Choice Banded V-Create. Mega Lopunny is going to hit hard plus combo return. Tornadus is going to be just generically annoying because it is a regenerator mon, and regenerator mons are very annoying to deal with, especially Tornadus. So we kind of needed something that could clean up in the end. It also makes it so we can beat flying types, because other flying types could actually prove a little bit of a difficulty because Vigavolt does not resist flying. And while Bronzong does, it doesn't do anything to any like generically bulky flying type because they will get access to Roost. Yeah, I know Lycanroc doesn't exactly help with like Gliscor and stuff like that, but we have Mega Lopunny with triple access for that, so, and Vaporeon can do decent damage as well. Lycanroc, on the other hand, takes care of any other flying types. It also takes care of any ice type, any fire type. Like, it just generically hits so goddamn hard. Like, I think people often underestimate just how hard Lycanroc Dusk with his Tough Claws abilities actually hit. And I love this mon to death. Accelerock is probably close to being my favorite priority move in the game. I know it's exclusive only to Lycanroc, but that just makes Lycanroc better in my opinion. I'm very happy about this pickup. I felt like that was kind of like the final missing piece in our offensive mons, and we can kind of focus on some more support and defense throughout. Next up, we kind of wanted to patch a little bit about this ghost and dark weakness we have. We don't have a weakness per se. We only have 2 mons weak to it, but we have Mega Lopunny, which needs to be both our dark and ghost immune, like dark resist and ghost immunity, and that's not good. So we ended up scooping up a Alolan Muk. By the way, the reason why Alolan Muk's PNG here is a little bit different is because the actual one I used, like the model for the other ones, was blurry for Muk for whatever reason. I don't know why. So just found this on Google instead. But yeah, Alolan Muk, very good Poison Dark type. I love my Poison Dark types because they only have 1 weakness. The only issue is Fairy is... We aren't the greatest against Fairies, and unfortunately that is a little bit about our team. Muk is fortunately bulky enough that it can take pretty much any special Fairy hit at all. Like Mega Gardevoir Hyper Voice, which I think is like the hardest hitting special Fairy move in the game, like does 30% or something to a Muk. A Muk almost OHKOs back. So Muk can handle special Fairies, and more the physical Fairies, and I'm very much looking at you make them all wild. But yeah, so Alolan Muk, I love this mon, I love this and Drapion, I love those 2 very much. I've never used Skuntank because every time I look at the 3, I'm just like, Skuntank is so much worse than the other 2. Like Drapion, you get access to T-Spikes, Sword Stance. Muk, beforehand, my favorite set was running the very recycle set, but you can't really do that a whole lot more. So now you run Assault Vest for the most part. But you could also run like a Curse set and stuff like that. Like, Muk is very good and Drapion is very good, and Skuntank is like kind of okay, I guess. It gets default, yay. Next on the team, we have Piloswine. So I might have made a mistake drafting Piloswine because I got sniped out of the ground type I wanted Mudsdale, Someone took it literally the round I was about to pick much. There were only a couple picks before me. That was probably the only like true snipe I got throughout the entire draft. I have a couple of mons I kind of wanted maybe, but I weren't really snipes because I was like, okay, if I didn't get it, I'll just take something else. But this was legitimately a snipe where I was like, oh shoot, I don't know what to do now. So I had the choice between Piloswine, Palossand, Runa Regis, and Sandaconda. Those were like the 4 ground types around the same point tier that all effectively can do kind of the same. I ended up going with Piloswine because we have the priority in Ice Shot. It is the overall bulkiest out of the 4 with the Eevee Light. It also does make it so a team becomes a little bit more knockoff weak, and we already are a little bit because Torn doesn't want to get knocked off, Victina doesn't want to get knocked off, Vigavolt doesn't want to get knocked off, Bronzong is weak to it. The only like knockoff mons we have, like mons I can actually live with it, is a Loner Mug to some extent, because if it's AD, we don't want that to get knocked either, and Mega Lopunny, and that's not good. So we're a little bit knockoff weak. But yeah, I might trade this at some point in the season if I feel like it's still an issue. I know the other grounds that I just mentioned are still on the board, if I remember correctly. So we'll see how it is. I'll stick with it for like a couple of weeks, see how it feels, and then I'll report back to y'all. But yeah, we picked up Piloswine because we needed an electric immunity. You always kind of want your ground type for the electric immunity. And I think Regieleki actually did get picked up. I don't know if it got dropped again in Grace Period, but I think it did get picked up at some point. So having the ground immunity, the electric immunity is very important. Having the priority and of course the Stealth Rocks is very nice. I'm very annoyed Piloswine doesn't get knocked off when Mamoswine does, but it is what it is. I'll live with it. Next up, we have Alcremie. So I needed a fairy type. I didn't have a whole lot of point left. At this point, I believe I have 9 points in total, like before the Alcremie pick. So I picked Alcremie. I could choose basically between Alcremie and Aromatisse. There was a 2-point gap between the two, and that actually made it so I couldn't get my last mon if I picked Aromatisse. I would have to find something else. So I picked Alcremie. I'm actually very excited about using Alcremie because I feel like it's kind of a little bit underrated. Like, it's very specially bulky. It has setup on both the physical and special side when it comes to defensive. So you can run like Acid Armor, I think it is, it gets, and Calm Mind, and it becomes very bulky and very difficult to kill. It has access to Recover, so it's a mon that doesn't have to rely on Vaporeon's wishes, which is very nice. Like, Vaporeon wish is very nice to have. The more mons you have that doesn't have to rely on it, the better, basically, because that means you don't have to worry too much about Vaporeon always getting a wish up, and then you can flip turn around, you can scald, you can do whatever Vaporeon else wants to do. Alcremie, besides that, it is also a second cleric. It does get aromatherapy, if I remember. I think it's aromatherapy. It gets one of them at least. It is one of the fairy types that has access to Mystical Fire, which I'm very happy about. So it means it doesn't become fodder for any steel types. And generally, it hits fairly hard. It has 110, I think, special attack, while also having like 120 something special defense. I think HP is pretty low, but that's fine. We can kind of work around it with that. And the last one on our team is kind of interesting because, as you can see, we are missing 2 typings specifically that you would typically like in Dragon and Grass. Grass you can typically live without, and Dragon you kind of want because, I don't know, like Fairy, Dragon, Steel Cores are a very common thing. But I said, F that, I picked the Grass type. So I picked Lurantis because I didn't have that many points left. There weren't any Dragons in... I did actually have 4 points, so we actually have 1 point left over after all this. I ended up picking Lurantis because, as I mentioned, there weren't any Dragon types in the 4 points on lower tier that was really that interesting. I thought about trying to see if I could work some mons around so I could pick up Druddigon. I love Druddigon. I think it's my favorite, like, low tier dragon. I don't know, Drampa is pretty cool as well. But we picked Lurantis. It's a second defogger, and as you can tell, it's only our second defogger. We only have Tornado Therian and Lurantis, and I'm gonna be honest, Lurantis is probably not coming that much. It comes to like 2 matches, 3 matches maybe. So Tornadus, you definitely have to run defog a lot, and that's a little bit unfortunate. It does put a damper on what Tornadus can actually do. But I could also just say F it and not care about rocks and spikes and T-Rex and sticky whips. Oh god, I have to run Tornadus defog a lot, I can feel. But yeah, that's our full team, the Copenhagen Galates. Overall, I'm fairly happy about the team. There are definitely some kinks I have to work out here and there. I'm not happy about the hazard removal. I think the hazard setting is fine. Having Bronze Song and a solid ground type, for now it's Pilswine, it might change, is enough because one of those two are probably coming to most games, I could feel like. I think our offensive pressure is very good with Tornadus, Megalopo, and Victini, and Lyra specifically. You can also run offensive Vigavolt, as I mentioned, set up Alcremie. You know what? I'll set up with goddamn Lurantis. It's contrary superpower, contrary Leaf Storm. Come at me. Yeah, I think our offensive pressure is pretty good. I think our defensive core needs a little bit of work, but I hope I can make it work. But yeah, that's the video. As always, if you like it, make sure to leave a like on the video. Leave a comment down below what you think of the team. And if any of the NPBA people are watching this, I'm very much excited to play all of you. I'm very excited about this season, actually. It's been a minute since I've been this excited to actually be in the league. And with that, I'm out. Peace, YouTube.